It's another week, another health headline. This one really caught my attention because I am a huge tea drinker. I like it hot, I like it cold. I drink herbal, green, white, rooibos. I host tea parties. I collect and display tea sets. I love going out for afternoon tea. I was part of a monthly tea club gathering in my area for many years. I recommend tea to all of my health coaching clients, and I'm never without a beautiful cup or mug or thermos of tea. You get the idea. So when I heard that there are microplastics in tea bags that are getting into our brains and potentially causing serious harm to our health, oh my, did that catch my attention. Come on in, let's talk about it. Today we're going to spill the tea on what's in our tea. This is the Wishing You Well podcast. I'm your host, Maria Patrick, a certified nutritional health coach, and I am so happy that you are here with me today. Be sure to stay tuned until the very end because I have a very special offer to share with you, and it's for my listeners only. If you are anything like me, you see tea as a soothing, healthy beverage, but recent studies have revealed something that is quite unsettling, that some tea bags may be releasing microplastics into your teacup. As you know, we have become increasingly concerned about plastic pollution and the effect that it has on our health. And we think we're doing everything we can to avoid plastics. You're no longer drinking plastic water bottles, at least I hope you're not. You're carrying a reusable water bottle with you everywhere. You've stopped using plastic straws. You've begun microwaving your leftovers in glass instead of those plastic takeout containers. All of that is great. But as it turns out, it's not enough. The journal Nature Medicine recently published the results of a research study where they found plastic particles inside human brain tissue, which means that microplastics can cross the blood-brain barrier. In a particularly horrifying statistic, the research revealed that humans could have a measurable amount of microplastics in their lungs, their kidneys, and their brain. The study, which was published in early February, was conducted by researchers at the University of New Mexico Health Sciences. They found microplastics in human brains have increased 50% over the past 8 years. They also found that people with dementia had up to 10 times as much plastic in their brains as everyone else. This is obviously a very important topic, and I think it's crucial to discuss it and worth a deep dive. Today, we're going to talk specifically about how microplastics are ending up in our tea and what you can do to avoid them, especially because you may not realize this. Tea is the world's second most popular drink after water. We already know that plastic can be made from over 16,000 chemicals. And when those chemicals are combined with oil, plastic can create countless harmful issues for our health. Microplastics are tiny plastic particles that are less than 5 millimeters in size. They are tiny fragments of degraded polymers, and they're found in our environment, including the air, water, soil, and these substances are making their way into our bodies. They can enter our food and our drinks in several ways, and tea is no exception. So here's how these microplastics are making their way into our cup of tea. First off, it's from the tea bags themselves. The tea bags, even premium and those fancy pyramid-shaped ones, are made from synthetic materials like nylon or polyethylene, known as PET. When steeped in hot water, these plastics break down, releasing billions, yes, I said billions of microplastics and even nanoplastics into the tea. McGill University did a study in 2019 that found that a single plastic tea bag can release about 11.6 billion microplastic particles into 1 cup of tea. The McGill University study determined that one plastic-based tea bag can not only release those microplastic particles, but 3 billion nanoplastic particles into your cup. So you're talking about close to 15 billion particles floating around in your teacup. This is thousands of times more than what's found in bottled water. When the researchers did their tests, they tested tea bags that are made from polypropylene, nylon, and cellulose. And they discovered that considerable plastic particles are released from all 3 types of bags, but that the worst, the ones that shedded the most, were the polypropylene. The study found that these tiny particles can stick to the cells that are lining our intestine. And when they enter the bloodstream, they circulate throughout the body, impacting all of our organs. The researchers analyzed 91 brain samples collected from people who had been deceased, and they detected plastic particles in all 91 of the brains. They found that the concentrations of the microplastics were higher in the brain samples than in the liver and the kidneys. On average, 7 grams of microplastic particles were found in the brains that they examined, which, in case you're wondering, is equivalent to the size of a crayon. So even when we use paper tea bags, here's the thing, that can still be a problem because many traditional paper tea bags contain plastic because the plastic is what is used to heat seal the bag and prevent it from falling apart. So it can be that you're finding plastic inside the paper filter bags themselves or in the glue that's used to heat seal the bags. And the glue is mostly in the form of polypropylene, the PP. Most of these materials will end up migrating into hot water. So we have to remember that even paper tea bags may not be entirely plastic free. Contaminated water and packaging is another problem. Microplastics are already present in our tap water and in our bottled water, which means that sometimes our tea is contaminated before we even brew it. So in addition to the plastic packaging that can further introduce particles into the tea leaves, the water itself could be a problem. We have to really pay attention and read labels. When we steep our tea in plastic vessels, that creates a big problem. You may be one of the many millions of people who purchased one of those perfect tea plastic tea infusers that were made by a particular tea company that is no longer in business. And when you place that plastic tea infuser on top of your mug, it was wonderful. It allowed the tea to steep inside of it and then filter it right down into your mug. Well, the problem is you're using very hot water in something that is made of plastic, and therefore that plastic's getting into your wonderful, what should be a wonderful cup of tea. You're going to want to change out that plastic vessel for a new, healthier way to steep your tea. When it comes to the potential health risks of microplastics, there's definitely more research that has to be done. But the studies that have been done here to date suggest that microplastics are doing a bunch of harm to our body. They're disrupting our hormones because of the presence of endocrine disrupting chemicals. They're causing inflammation in our body, particularly in our digestive system. They are acting as carriers for harmful bacteria and toxins, which we know, we've talked about this in previous podcasts, can potentially increase our risk of disease and illnesses. And microplastics have been linked to the development of liver fibrosis and increased liver inflammation, as well as having a negative impact on our liver lipid deposition. When we have excessive lipid accumulation, it puts our liver at risk of diseases like cirrhosis and another one which seems to be so often talked about now because it's become increasingly more of a problem for people, and that is fatty liver disease. As I said, more studies are needed, but reducing our exposure to microplastics is a very smart precautionary step. So, how do you avoid microplastics in your tea? If you're a tea drinker or you aspire to be a tea drinker, don't panic. There are plenty of plastic-free options out there, and we're going to talk about that right now, how you can still enjoy your tea without worrying about being contaminated with microplastics. You just have to make some simple swaps. Start by choosing loose leaf tea. Loose leaf tea eliminates the need entirely for tea bags, reducing your exposure to plastics overall. You can use a stainless steel or glass infuser instead. If you choose to put the loose tea in a tea bag, or you're purchasing tea that's already in bags, make sure that you opt for plastic-free tea bags. Pay attention to what the brands are offering us. There are some that are now offering biodegradable, plant-based tea bags without plastic sealants. You want to look at the label closely, and the label should specify that the tea bag is plastic-free and compostable. We should be switching to plastic-free options. So there are brands out there that have committed to doing this, using the plastic-free compostable tea bags. So we just have to pay attention and find those companies. You want to check the packaging and the certifications. When a brand is organic, when it's eco-conscious, they are providing transparent information about the materials. So that's a really good way to start, is to choose organic. You're going to want to use a glass or a stainless steel strainer. If you prefer the convenience, invest in something that's reusable. So when you have a tea strainer that you can reuse, that's not only good for the environment, but it's going to ensure that your cup of tea is healthy. Make sure it's made of glass or stainless steel or natural bamboo. You can even use a Pyrex glass measuring cup and then strain the steeped tea into your cup. Lastly, because microplastics can be present in tap and bottled water, you're going to want to choose filtered water or take the step of filtering your water. When you use a high quality water to help make your tea, you're already making a very important decision and step to reduce the contamination in your teacup. So there's good news on this topic. No reason to despair. We can avoid microplastics in our tea by switching to loose leaf tea, by choosing plastic-free tea bags. We will be significantly reducing our exposure, while at the same time, you'll be making a choice that's sustainable for our planet. We've got Earth Day coming up in just a few short months, so this is a really good time to start. We know that when we make small changes in our daily habits, we can have a big impact, not just for our own personal health and for the health and well-being of our loved ones, but for the future of our environment. I have a personal recommendation for you today. It's a business that I know quite well and I love very much. It's called Divinitea. It's a woman-owned business, tea business, and it is USDA certified organic. The owner's name is Linda Smith, and she is one of the most inspiring, intelligent, and lovely women that I have the pleasure of knowing. Linda is not only an expert in all things tea, she is deeply committed to delivering the highest quality, 100% organic products to her customers. All of Divinity's tea is certified organic. The tea is free of synthetic fertilizers, herbicides, and pesticides. Divinity happens to have the largest selection of USDA certified organic teas, not only in New York State where the business is located, but in the entire United States. I have a link to her business in my show notes, and I have a wonderful surprise for you today, my listeners. If you use the code MARIA25, you will get 25% off of your tea order, as well as free shipping. This is a very special offer from Linda to you. This is one of the biggest offers ever, and it's for my listeners only. You can use the code MARIA25 for your order of tea, and there are so many amazing teas to choose from, and it's good for the next 30 days. So be sure to place your orders by March 21st, 2025. Linda has wonderful suggestions that she wanted me to share with you about how we can make healthy choices when it comes to buying, storing, and preparing our tea. In addition to making careful choices when we purchase our tea by buying organic, we need to also pay attention to the type of tea bags that are being used. Additionally, Linda suggests that we containerize our tea, meaning that we transfer the loose tea that we purchase from its food-grade packaging as soon as we get home from the store to stainless steel or glass containers. She suggested that we could even use glass canning jars, so easily accessible and inexpensive. Just be careful not to fill them up to the top so that you can avoid the tea coming into contact with the inside of the lid. Linda said that we might have some heirloom tea vessels, which is a lovely way of saying old. And if you look at them and they look too old to make your tea in, they probably are. So while you may not want to throw out that steel tea ball that you inherited from your grandmother, choose to use something new and clean and rust-free instead. Linda says that we should look for tea bags that are made of natural fibers, that are not chemically bleached. They should be biodegradable, compostable, and oxygen bleached, which means that they're using a method that doesn't produce dioxins, which means that there's no epichlorohydrin or PET or PLA or PP. Linda wants us all to remember that at home, you can minimize your exposure to microplastics by switching to glass, stainless steel, or ceramic products and not storing or heating your food or drink in plastic containers. As I said earlier, Linda Smith of Divinity is a wealth of knowledge. You're going to find that she's as warm and welcoming as she is intelligent, and her teas are of the highest quality. They're incredibly delicious, and they will change your life and your health for the better, as they have done for me. As you know, I'm always on the lookout for ways to help us to live a healthier, longer, stronger, and better life. And Divinity and my friend Linda will most certainly help you to do that. So, my friends, we can choose to let the news bring us down, or we can instead choose to make informed decisions, making excellent choices and healthy swaps in order to keep the plastic out of our bodies, our brains, and our health. I am wondering, will you be reconsidering your tea drinking habits to avoid microplastics? I certainly hope so. Let Divinity help you to do this, and let's discuss this important topic in the comments. You can even ask me what my favorite Divinity teas are, and I will be so happy to tell you. Enjoy your next cup of tea. Drink to your health. I will be doing it right alongside of you. Until next time, my dear listeners, I am, as always, wishing you well.